Passengers often complained about the quality of airline meals in 2024. Let's explore the 25 strangest airline foods of the golden age, the 50s, 60s, and the 70s of air travel. Number 25. Cocktail shrimp. In 1971, kids used to wear a suit for air travel. And while they weren't underdressed, they certainly weren't overdressed. The flight from Chicago to New York had a meal that was on par with a fancy restaurant. It was the cocktail shrimp. The plate was real china. Shrimp cocktails are not something you usually make at home, but we can tell you how they were done on flights. Once boiled, they can be enjoyed with cocktail sauce if you like. After you bought these Rick-rolled style scissors, the most important thing to do is that you want the shrimp with their heads on. They will cook more evenly with their heads. For a small batch of about 4 to 5 pounds, we would use about 5 quarts of water in a 8-quart pot. The ambiance played a part too. The majority of people on the flight were impeccably dressed, and 90%, moms included, smoked. The seats were huge, not just for kids. The guy weighing 200 pounds can comfortably sit in his seat.
Transfer those to a large rimmed baking sheet and drizzle the top with about 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil.
On the way, the captain would let kids into the cockpit, give them a pin, and tell them if they wanted to qualify as a pilot, they had to eat a lot of vegetables for dinner. Number 24. Crumb cakes and jelly donuts. If your crumb cakes at home look like an unfinished lasagna, this will definitely pique your interest. You'll feel special when a stewardess pins tin wings on your shirt and serves crumb cakes and jelly donuts on paper plates in saran wrap and coffee in paper cups with folding handles. There is a reason why it's called the golden era of traveling. We miss the room to move around, especially on long flights. We miss dressing up and being treated like a guest flying. It was a lovely experience. Crumb cakes and jelly donuts aren't really a strange meal, but the nostalgia is about how well done they were. It wasn't just the food that stood out. When families moved from Hawaii to the mainland 50-odd years ago, upon boarding the plane, people were adorned with leis and were both floral and made of candy. When you got off the plane, there were hula dancers who put leis on all the guests, and 2 guys played ukuleles. That sure doesn't happen anymore.
Let your cake cool in the pan for about 10 minutes, and then, look at that.
Number 23. Swiss or kosher turkey with coffee. The 1970s can be regarded as the golden age of traveling through the air. It almost felt like going to a theater. People would arrive dressed in their finest with their children and enjoy an exceptional service provided by airlines, held in high regards as the most well-disciplined and comfort-providing enterprises on Earth. And the food they served on these flights was no less in quality and taste both. Amongst these dishes were the ever-so-tasty Swiss and turkey sandwiches, with the most important brew of all, coffee. And we mean it when we say even the airline coffee tasted like royalty. The turkey sandwiches used to be kosher so as to be inclusive of all religions on board the flight, which was another healthy indicator of airline hospitality and inclusivity. The delicious Swiss and turkey sandwiches with their special mustard mayo spreads were an absolute treat to be welcomed with whenever you'd sit on a long flight to your promised destination. And who could forget the coffee? Brewed within the flight, they made sure you stayed up the whole journey to enjoy the scenic flight. Number 22. Surf and Turf Pineapple Shrimp Platter. One of the rarest and most bizarre dishes you could ever find in your airline menu would be a surf and turf pineapple shrimp platter. As wavy as the name sounds, the dish looked exactly as exotic and tasty, a symbol of airline elegance and innovation back in the olden days. The dish itself was a delight to both the airline customers and the staff on board. A run-of-the-mill shrimp platter consists of shrimps and pineapples, obviously, with added scallops and jalapenos topped off with teriyaki and sriracha sauce. Nowadays, it's just absurd to even imagine such a dish on an airplane, but back then, people were munching on them for lunch with the added bonus of prime airline stewardess service and taste that would have you asking for seconds. Food like this on planes in the 70s and 80s is a testament to the fact that airlines really cared about their passengers back then and were devoted to providing a journey that would be saved as core memories for people in the years to come, something that modern airlines have failed to deliver. Number 21. Broiled filet mignon. This meal is a scam, and we don't know why people still fall for it. Sure, it's tender, but the taste is weaker than most other cuts. Compare this to others like New York strip or ribeye that get better flavor. As strange as it is, some people might still like them. And if that is the case with you as well, then we would add our 2 cents by saying that steak is often best made at home. Preheat the pan and oven to high broil for 20 minutes. Coat room temperature steaks in oil of choice salt and pepper. Add a pat of butter to each steak during the first flip. Cook until desired internal temperature. Let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes. Otherwise, you can have it on the Singapore airline using the Cook the Book service they are offering. Of course, you might be expecting one thing and you get another, as it was the case for us. We had to give the meal a rating of 3.5 out of 10. Number 20. Stuffed mainliner baked potato. We all love baked potatoes, but they become strange when you stuff them with some of the strangest things you can find. One example would be baked potatoes stuffed with mushroom and spinach. Another strange stuffing is mashed potatoes mixed with fresh green onions and topped with cheese and garlic fried shrimp. We get it, we love baked potatoes, but why go overboard with the stuffing and especially stuffing them with more potatoes? We can understand though, if it's your cup of tea, then you can make baked potatoes stuffed with mushroom and spinach easily at home. Preheat the oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit or 215 Celsius. Bake potatoes in the oven for 40 to 50 minutes. In a skillet, add coconut oil, garlic, sliced mushrooms, and a pinch of salt. Cook on medium heat for 5 to 10 minutes. Then toss in baby spinach and cook until wilted. Slice open baked potatoes and fill with mushroom and spinach medley. Number 19. Beef tongue. Older people loved this dish during their travels because it tasted great and it was super tender. It was one of their favorite foods. Some have had it in tacos before because they say it was really good because it has a much more intense beef flavor and has more resistance, but still very tender and not at all chewy.
Straight away, but over time the flavors will develop and improve. When you're ready to serve, simply finish with...
The dish makes fantastic tacos de lengua. They had it often in the 60s and 70s, and they really enjoyed it. They would boil it and slice it really thin and make sandwiches. The kids from back then remember the meat tasting off with an unpleasant texture. We still see whole beef tongue occasionally in a small mom and pop market. We wonder if the kids from back then will be tempted to give it another chance now that they are grown up, and if their opinion of the dish would change. Number 18. Roast beef. One of the tastiest things you could eat on a plane was roast beef. It was cooked just right, making it juicy and tender. The airline chef made it feel like you were eating in a nice restaurant, even though you were high up in the sky. Roast beef has always been a dream for some to master, or at least make it well enough to enjoy, and having the opportunity to try that in the air gives them an opportunity to taste their dream dish in a whole different way. They serve the roast beef with yummy sides like mashed potatoes, green beans, and a warm roll. Sometimes there was a little gravy poured over the beef, making it even more delicious. The roast beef meal made passengers happy and feel like they were being treated as something very special. It was a big part of the fancy, fun experience of flying back then. It's a peaceful, enjoyable experience, with the hum of the airplane and the view of the sky outside your window, making it even more memorable. It's not just about the food, but the whole magical feeling of dining in the clouds.
Amazing. They have a super soft and fluffy texture, and they're sweet and buttery. This could just be the perfect sandwich.
Number 17, macadamia nuts. Macadamia nuts are small, round, and crunchy. They taste buttery and a little sweet, making them a delicious snack. Back then, not many people had tried macadamia nuts, so it was an exciting and rare treat. Flight attendants, dressed in neat uniforms, would bring small bowls of these tasty nuts to passengers. It was part of the special service to make the flight feel luxurious. Passengers would munch on the nuts while looking out into the clouds and feeling very fancy. It was a unique and memorable treat that made the flight feel extra special. We love eating macadamia nuts because when you bite into a macadamia nut, it's crunchy and has a rich, buttery flavor that is a little sweet. This makes them a favorite snack for many. Macadamia nuts are also good for you. They have healthy fats, which help your heart, and they give you energy. People enjoy them as a snack at home, on the go, or even when they are on a plane, just like in the 1950s. Whether eaten alone or added to other foods, macadamia nuts are a delightful treat that many people love. Number 16, leg of lamb stew. One delicious meal they served was leg of lamb stew. Leg of lamb stew is made from tender pieces of lamb, cooked slowly with vegetables like carrots, potatoes, and onions. The stew is rich, warm, and full of flavor. It's like a comforting home-cooked meal. The lamb is soft and flavorful, and the vegetables are tasty and perfect. When you take a bite, the lamb is soft and full of flavor. The vegetables are tasty and blend perfectly with the meat. The broth is rich and makes everything taste just right. It's like eating a cozy hug in a bowl. People enjoy leg of lamb stew at home, especially on chilly days. It's also a treat when served in special places like restaurants or even on airplanes. Eating this stew makes people feel happy and satisfied because it's both delicious and filling. Whether at home or in the sky, leg of lamb stew is a favorite meal that brings comfort and joy.
Hot. Start by browning chunks of lamb in hot olive oil. Color and remove. Then fry onions.
When passengers boarded the plane, they sat in comfy seats and enjoyed the friendly service from flight attendants in neat uniforms. At mealtime, the flight attendants would bring out a tray with a bowl of steaming leg of lamb stew. The stew smelled wonderful and tasted even better. Number 15, beef consommé. Whether at home, in a restaurant, or especially in the sky, eating beef consommé makes people feel special. It's a simple yet elegant soup that brings warmth and joy with every sip. People love the rich, comforting taste that makes any meal feel like a special occasion. People love eating beef consommé because it's a delicious and fancy soup. It's made from beef broth that is cooked for a long time, making it rich in flavor but still clear and smooth. Imagine a warm, tasty soup that smells like a yummy beef roast and tastes even better. It's like a little bowl of comfort. People sip the soup slowly, enjoying each flavorful spoonful. Sometimes they add little pieces of vegetables and herbs to make it even tastier. Beef consommé is enjoyed in many places. At home, it's a special treat that feels fancy and comforting. In restaurants, it's often served as a starter before the main meal, making people feel pampered. Even on airplanes in the 1950s, passengers were served beef consommé to make their flight feel extra luxurious. Number 14, minced chicken with mushrooms. Having a meal on an airplane adds to the excitement of traveling. It's not just about getting one place to another, but also enjoying a moment of deliciousness while soaring through the skies. It's a reminder that even during travel, you can have a delightful dining experience that makes the journey more enjoyable. Minced chicken with mushrooms is a tasty and comforting dish. Minced chicken is chicken that's been chopped up into tiny pieces. When you cook it with mushrooms, it creates a delicious combination. The chicken is tender, and the mushrooms add a nice earthy flavor. When people eat this dish, they often find it very satisfying. The chicken is soft and flavorful, while the mushrooms add a unique taste that blends perfectly with the meat. It's a simple yet tasty meal that can be enjoyed in many ways. At home, people cook minced chicken with mushrooms for lunch or dinner. They might add some onions, garlic, and a little sauce to make it even more delicious. It's a quick meal that doesn't take long to prepare, making it a favorite for busy days. Number 13, buttered Mexican corn. Eating buttered Mexican corn on an airplane adds a touch of fun and deliciousness to the journey. It's a reminder that even at thousands of feet above ground, you can still enjoy a flavorful and enjoyable snack that makes the flying experience even more pleasant. Mexican corn, known as elote, is sweet and juicy, with kernels that pop in your mouth. When it's buttered, it becomes even more delicious. Imagine biting into a piece of buttered Mexican corn. The butter melts and mixes with the sweet corn, creating a rich and creamy flavor. Sometimes people sprinkle cheese, chili powder, or lime juice on top to make it even tastier. People enjoy buttered Mexican corn at festivals, parks, and even at home. It's a popular street food in Mexico and other places where corn is grown. The combination of sweet corn and creamy butter is irresistible. Passengers enjoy this snack because it's tasty and brings a bit of excitement to their flight. Number 12, shamrock rolls. People on flights enjoy shamrock rolls because they're tasty and bring a touch of charm to their journey. Eating these rolls on an airplane adds a sense of joy and deliciousness to the flight. Shamrock rolls are soft, fluffy bread rolls that are shaped like lucky shamrocks. They're usually made with a hint of herbs and spinach, giving them a mild, earthy flavor and a unique green color. Imagine biting into a shamrock roll. It's warm with a slight crust on the outside and soft on the inside. The herbs or spinach add a subtle taste that makes each bite interesting. People enjoy shamrock rolls at parties, dinners, and sometimes even on special occasions like St. Patrick's Day. They're often served with butter or as part of a meal. Their shape and color makes them fun to eat and look at. It's like having a little piece of luck on your plate. Whether at home, at a restaurant, or during a flight, shamrock rolls bring a touch of charm and tasty delight to any meal. Number 11, Aran salad. Eating Aran salad on an airplane serves as a reminder that even at cruising altitude, you can still have a delicious and nutritious meal that makes you feel good inside and out.
All the ingredients together before I start adding the onion. This allows the cilantro and the pepper.
Aran salad is a fresh and tasty dish that feels like a burst of sunshine on your plate. Aran salad is made with crisp lettuce, juicy tomatoes, crunchy cucumbers, and sometimes topped with creamy avocado slices or tangy olives. Imagine taking a bite of Aran salad. The lettuce is crunchy, the tomatoes burst with sweetness, and the cucumbers add a refreshing crunch. The avocado or olives add a creamy or tangy twist that makes each forkful delightful. People enjoy Aran salad at picnics, parties, and even on special occasions. It's a versatile dish that can be a light meal on its own or a refreshing side dish. When people eat Aran salad, they feel healthy and satisfied. It's a dish that's packed with vitamins and flavors that make every bite enjoyable. Whether enjoyed at home, at a restaurant, or on an airplane, Aran salad brings a touch of freshness and deliciousness to any meal. Number 10, cheese and crackers. When people eat cheese and crackers on an airplane, it's like having a tasty picnic in the sky. It's easy to eat and doesn't make a mess. making it ideal for flying. Imagine a plate with slices of creamy cheese and crispy crackers arranged neatly. Each bite is a delightful combination of flavors and textures. Cheese comes in many varieties, like cheddar, Swiss, or Gouda.
On there, and we're going to process everything together for 15 seconds. You want that cheese to be really well worked into the...
It's soft or firm, sometimes tangy or mild, and always delicious. When paired with crackers, they are crunchy and come in different flavors like plain, whole wheat, and even with herbs. It creates a perfect balance. It's easy to prepare and satisfying to eat. Sometimes they add extras like grapes or nuts to make it even more special. When people eat cheese and crackers, they feel happy and satisfied. It's a snack that's both tasty and versatile, suitable for any occasion. Whether enjoyed alone, with friends, or on an airplane, cheese and crackers bring a simple joy to every bite. Number 9. Braised celery hearts. The following dish is an airline special because it brings out the best in celery. Celery hearts are the tender inner stalks of celery, cooked slowly in a flavorful broth until they become soft and infused with delicious flavors. It's like discovering a surprisingly delicious dish in the sky. Imagine sitting comfortably in your seat, and the friendly flight attendant brings you a small tray with tender, flavorful celery hearts. Imagine taking a bite of braised celery hearts. They're tender and juicy, with a slightly sweet and savory taste. The cooking process enhances their natural flavors, making each bite satisfying and enjoyable. They can also be enjoyed on their own, with their rich flavor and tender texture, making them a favorite among food enthusiasts. It's not something you might expect to find at 30,000 feet, but it's a pleasant reminder of the creativity and care put into airline meals. Eating braised celery hearts on an airline makes passengers feel like they're experiencing something special and gourmet. It's a dish that brings a moment of culinary delight amidst the clouds. Number 8. Butterball. The next meal served by airlines during the 1950s was butterballs, like little bites of creamy goodness. For us, eating butterballs on an airplane was like having a mini indulgence in the sky. Passengers enjoyed butterballs on airplanes because they were a convenient and tasty treat, and it made them feel pampered and cared for. The flight attendants were really nice and made sure everyone had everything they needed. Brought out the butterballs, it felt like they were bringing a touch of elegance to our little airline meal. A butterball is a small round piece of butter that's often flavored with herbs or spices. It's soft and melts easily, making it perfect for spreading on bread or crackers. Imagine taking a bite of a butterball. It's smooth and rich with a delicious flavor that adds a tasty kick to whatever you spread it on. Some butterballs are even rolled in nuts or herbs to make them extra special. It's a treat that's both creamy and flavorful. Number 7. Assorted pastries. Imagine sitting on the airplane, looking out the window at the fluffy clouds drifting by. The flight attendants come around with a tray of assorted pastries, flaky croissants, creamy eclairs, and fruity tarts. You pick up a croissant first. Feeling its crispy exterior and buttery layers melt in your mouth with each bite. Assorted pastries come in many shapes and flavors, from flaky croissants to creamy eclairs and fruity tarts. Each pastry is a little piece of heaven, with its own unique taste and texture. The croissant is buttery and crisp, the eclair is creamy and sweet, and the tart bursts with fresh fruit flavors. Each bite brings a new delight, making it hard to pick a favorite. It's like a little taste of France, perfectly baked and satisfying. As you enjoy these pastries, you feel a sense of delight and comfort. It's not just about the food, but the experience, the friendly service, the view from your window, and the simple pleasure of savoring delicious treats amidst the clouds. Number 6. Sandwiches on rye bread and Kaiser rolls. Ah, the good old days of air travel, when you didn't have to wait for hours on end in queues wondering when you'd finally board and take off to your destination. It's the golden age of travel. We remember arriving at an airport 10 minutes before our plane departed and making the flight. Good times. Not only would you be welcomed like all the other passengers who were at the airport hours earlier, you'd be given one of the best sandwiches made with rye bread and Kaiser rolls to drool over. Stewardesses would spoil you with the way they'd constantly be going up and down the plane, making sure everybody had their share of the in-flight food service, which was indeed fit for a king. The Kaiser rolls were the most sought after, given their unique texture and ability to morph into the perfect bread for any sort of sandwich or burger you'd like. The sandwiches weren't too far behind in their popularity amongst the regular commuters.
160 degrees Celsius with a fan on, and that's 320 degrees Fahrenheit. And just look at them, they have puffed up.
Number 5, tangy red meat. What entree is ever complete without meat? Airline menus used to be laden with mind-boggling numbers of multiple varieties of meat, all marinated and sauced, ready to be served to the next lucky passenger with a bout of hunger. The kinds of meat these old airlines offered you would often make you wonder if they had a cold storage warehouse at the back, because they had everything from tangy marinated steaks served on proper china to stir-fried beef with a tenderness that would make your stomach churn and your mouth water. These dishes used to be served to passengers as part of the main courses. Special measures were taken to ensure that the meat remained fresh and could be served to the passengers, cooked as well as possible. The passengers were treated to a journey of a lifetime, where they were served tender, juicy meat cooked to their own preferences, a comfortable space that wasn't cramped, a peaceful flight with their own in-flight entertainment systems, and to top it all off, desserts that would make the whole family think they've already started their vacation. Number 4, bloody sausage on an Aer Lingus flight. Aer Lingus, the flag-carrying airline of Ireland, is famous worldwide for its traditional sausage breakfast. And what more does an Irish sausage breakfast need than a bloody sausage, a dish native to Ireland? A bloody sausage sounds messy, with its literal filler being blood that has been cooked to solidify, but it tastes just the opposite. A bite of this delicious and juicy sausage would have you transcending dimensions you never knew existed. The sausage is complemented by the assortment of veggies and desserts that'll make any Irish native feel right at home after they've had a go at it. Aer Lingus has always prided itself in its all-day breakfast, and their marketing surely makes you want to taste every bit of it. A traditional Aer Lingus breakfast would look like this. You would have 2 lovely big fat juicy sausages, a slice of bacon, a juicy tomato, a couple of puddings and some hash browns watered down with a cup of coffee and orange juice, without which any breakfast would be incomplete. For many passengers, this would be the first meal entering Ireland, and a welcome from the airline in such a fashion would have surely put a smile on any grumpy passenger's face. Number 3, beef Wellington served on real china. Beef Wellington was a very fancy treat in the air. This dish is made by wrapping a juicy beef fillet in a flank pastry with a layer of mushrooms. Imagine a delicious surprise inside a golden, crispy blanket. Airlines in 1960 loved to serve it on real china plates, which are special, fancy dishes that are delicate and often have pretty designs. Using sterling silver utensils made it even more special. People dressed up nicely, and the food was special. Beef Wellington is a yummy meal, where a tender piece of beef is wrapped in a flaky pastry crust. Inside, there's also a layer of tasty mushrooms. When you were on the plane, the flight attendants would bring this dish to your seat on a fancy tray. It felt like you were in a fancy restaurant, even though you were high up in the sky. The beef Wellington was cooked just right, and the pastry was crispy and golden. It made the passengers feel happy and special, like they were on a very important journey.
this case, it's totally fine to add everything from the get-go, because it's a small amount of butter and it's a very low hydration dough. It'll still be very...
Number 2. Rack of lamb and hot fudge sundaes. Imagine sitting on an airplane in 1960, feeling very fancy. The stewardess brings you a special meal. First, there's a rack of lamb. It's like tiny juicy steaks on bone. She carved the meat right next to your seat, making you feel extra special. The lamb is served on real china plates, not plastic. You also get shiny silverware, not the kind you throw away. After the yummy lamb, it's time for dessert. You get a hot fudge sundae. It's ice cream with warm chocolate sauce on top. Maybe there's even some whipped cream and a cherry. It feels like a little party in your mouth. All this happens while you're flying high in the sky, making your trip feel like a true adventure. Number 1. Raw fish on top of cold, sticky rice. This takes the cake for being the most bizarre meal on any airline. There was definitely some cultural voodoo going on in some flights, and to some extent, it was welcomed. But sticky rice and raw fish was just not one of them. In 1960, eating raw fish was unusual for many people. Most folks thought fish had to be cooked to be safe, but in Japan, raw fish, known as sushi or sashimi, was already popular and loved for a long time. People there knew how to pick the freshest fish and prepare it safely. Some Americans and European airline companies got curious and started trying it. They got mixed reviews, and they can't really tell if the trend continued. These were the 25 strange foods during air travel. Comment below if you think we missed something you encountered. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.